Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about the biggest shakeup in how we find things online in, well, forever. The familiar blue links we all grew up with are starting to fade, and a whole new era is taking their place. One where AI doesn't just search for you, it gives you the answer.
I mean, let's start with something you probably noticed yourself, right? You ask Google a question, and boom, instead of just a list of websites, you get a full, detailed answer right there at the top. The search engine we've always known is quietly turning into an answer engine.
So, to really get our heads around this, here's the game plan. We'll look at what this change really means, how the tech actually works, the new playbook you need to know, and what this all means for the future of, well, everything. Okay, let's dive right in.
All right, first things first. Let's draw a really clear line between the internet we've been using for decades and the one that's taking shape right now.
Think of it like this. The old search engine was like a librarian. You'd ask a question, and they'd hand you a catalog of books. That's it. Ask again, get another catalog. But these new answer engines, they're more like a personal research assistant who's already read all the books, pulled out the key points, and gives you a direct summary. And what's more, they remember what you talked about before.
And because of that, our own behavior has totally flipped. I mean, this slide says it all. We're not just passive link clickers anymore. We've become active participants, having a real back-and-forth conversation with an AI to get what we need.
And if the world changes, you need a new strategy, right? Well, that's where I/O comes in. It stands for Artificial Intelligence Optimization. And really, all it means is making your content easy for a machine to read, to understand, and to trust.
So how in the world do these answer engines actually pull this off? Let's pop the hood and see what's going on with the mechanics.
You know, old search just looked for keywords on a page. This new AI is way smarter. When you ask it something, it doesn't just do one search. It breaks your question down into a bunch of smaller questions. It actually thinks through the logic, and then it goes out and grabs these tiny, super relevant pieces of content from all over the place. We're talking text, images, videos, and it stitches them all together to build you an answer.
Now, the technology making all this possible is the large language model. You've probably heard it called an LLM. This is the engine inside things like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Google's AI overviews. At its core, it's a massively powerful prediction machine. It's been trained on basically the entire internet just to get really good at guessing the next word in a sentence.
So how does an LLM actually read? This part's pretty mind-bending. It doesn't see words like we do. It sees math. It chops our sentences up into little pieces called tokens, and then it turns those tokens into numerical coordinates called embeddings. You can almost picture it like a giant 3D map of every concept imaginable, where related ideas like king, queen, and throne are all clustered together. That's how it gets context, not just definitions.
This flowchart here shows us that whole journey from start to finish. So it starts over on the left with you, the user, asking something. The LLM then takes your query and often makes it even better, more precise. Then it blasts those queries out to the massive search index, which sends back a ton of potential info. The LLM and acts like a super smart filter, picking out only the best bits and pieces to craft that final, sourced answer it gives back to you. It's this incredibly complex dance, and it happens in the blink of an eye.
Okay, so we get the tech. Now we get to the really important part. What do we do about it? If the old rules of SEO are going out the window, what's the new playbook for AIO?
The funny thing is, optimizing for an AI isn't about trying to trick it. It's actually the opposite. It's about being radically clear. It means using simple, direct language, staying on topic, getting rid of any confusing jargon, and basically structuring your content to be a perfect answer to a question someone might ask. You're just making it as easy as possible for the machine to understand and then cite you.
So what does this actually look like when you sit down to create something? Let's get into a really practical guide for how to shift your whole content process.
This is a repeatable 7-step cycle to make your content AI ready. You start by auditing what you already have. Then you strategize. But the really key steps are here in the middle, refreshing old stuff, chunking it down into small digestible pieces, and enriching it with stuff only you can provide. Then you layer on the technical signals for the AI, you hit publish, and you watch for citations, and then you start the whole cycle over again.
And check out some of these specific tactics. Turning your subheadings into questions, that perfectly sets you up for that passage-level retrieval we talked about. Adding author bios tells Google you're an expert, what they call EEAT. But look at this one, schema markup.
It's a bit of code that gives the AI explicit instructions, and it makes your content 53% more likely to get cited. I mean, that is a huge, huge advantage.
All right, last section. Let's zoom all the way out. What are the really big picture consequences of this whole shift for businesses, for creators, and for all of us just trying to find stuff online?
And here it is. This is probably the single most important takeaway of this whole thing. The goal is not about getting a click anymore. The new goal is to be the trusted source that the AI uses to build its answer. Success isn't about being visited, it's about being cited.
And that leads to a pretty startling conclusion. The idea that there's one universal #1 result that everybody sees for a search, it's over. It's dead.
So what does this new reality mean? Well, first, a lot more zero-click searches. People won't need to visit your site if the answer is right there. Answers are also going to be deeply personalized to you, and this completely breaks how we've always measured success. The whole path from search to click to conversion is just gone. The new metrics are things like AI citations and brand mentions, measuring your influence in a world where the answer itself is the destination.
Which leaves us all with one final and kind of scary question to think about. In a world where these AI answer engines are the front door to all information, what is the purpose of a website anymore? The game has changed, and we're all going to have to figure out how to play.